She brings wealth and health to her audience by tackling hot topics around substance use disorder, mental health and wellness. Her mission, vision, and goal are to help you heal from your past trauma, inspire you to transform your body, mind, and soul so you can live your best life. Your board-certified psychiatric mental health doctor, nurse practitioner, trauma care maestro, and media analyst, your life ambassador, best-selling author, TEDx talk speaker, CEO of Pool of Bethesda Psychiatric Health in Arizona. Let's all welcome Dr. Princess Fumi Hancock.
So we're back with Series 2 with more topics, more discussions, more guests. And in this episode, what are we discussing?
We are discussing the stages in narcissistic romantic relationships.
We actually have a special guest. Today we have Dr. Fumi Hancock, all the way from USA. Tell us a little bit more about Dr. Fumi,
Wow,
please.
yes, Dr. Fumi. So Dr. Fumi Stephanie Hancock, she is a Nigerian princess living in diaspora, is a board-certified psychiatric mental health doctor of nurse practice, and 30-year veteran in the social work and psychiatry fields.
Wow.
As a 24 times best-selling author, this compassionate trauma care maestro and life rehab once ambassador of goodwill in the state of Tennessee tackled topics surrounding trauma, depression, anxiety, PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder, and other mental health disorders. Through her rehabilitative storytelling, she helps hurting families rewrite their life stories, creating lasting legacies as they maintain their health and wellness.
Wow, wow. How exciting. What an amazing profile.
Amazing.
So let's go ahead and bring in Dr. Fumi right now. Hello, Dr. Fumi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's awesome to be with you guys.
We are honored to have you here with us. Thank you so much, Dr. Fumi. I mean, your introduction is amazing. So we are honestly humbled and honored to have you with us here at the UYG show. You are very, very welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
How was your morning? I know it's morning there now.
We're still trying to wake up. We're trying.
Sorry for waking you up.
Oh, that's fine. I'm used to that. With when you do interviews here, you kind of wake up very early, so I'm used to it.
Yes. Oh, yes. Amazing, awesome. So yes, we want to dive straight in, pick your brain, your awesome mind, and really just tackle this subject of narcissistic relationships, right?
Yes.
Let's go right in.
Yes. So first of all, Dr. Fumi, can you please explain to everyone what is narcissistic abuse?
My goodness. All right. So for us to be able to even understand what the narcissistic abuse is, you first have to understand what narcissism is. And when you talk about that, you're talking about people that have excessive need for admiration. Sometimes there are people that disregard, well, most times they do disregard other people's feelings. They exploit other people's feelings without guilt, without shame. They have that inability to be able to handle criticism. And of course, a sense of entitlement. So when you have that, right, and then you look at the definition of abuse, right, somebody that is being hurt, right? So you have, when you combine those two words, you're talking about emotional, physical, sexual, and sometimes even financial abuse. This is what we mean by narcissistic abuse.
Wow. I mean, we chose to discuss this topic, Dr. Fumi, because we found that it's most common. We know obviously narcissists can be, it could be your mother, it could be your sister, your friend, your boss or colleague, but we found that it's most common in romantic relationships. Yes. I mean, I wonder why this is.
Well, let's look at statistics here. I think NYU did a recent statistics about narcissism, and they found out that it's mostly men, right? And 1% of the whole world. Think about that. That's a whole lot of narcissism.
That's a lot.
1% of the whole world have that. And out of that 1%, we're looking at 75% being men.
Wow.
Let's sit on that for a minute.
Wow.
So when you have 75% of 1% in the whole world, my goodness.
Wow.
Of course, it's going to show up and manifest in relationships. Of course.
Yes, definitely.
Wow, I see what you mean here. Now, what are some of the popular questions we've had?
So, Dr. Fumi, when we're talking about, these people who are narcissists, what is it? What makes them, kind of a target? How do they target the victims or the people that they want to kind of have that kind of supply from? What is it about the victim?
Well, there are a few factors that play into that. Number one, our vulnerability, right? Yeah. If you are a vulnerable woman already who has been exposed to trauma, and especially if it's trauma that you have not taken care of, you are a great target for that. Wow. So you can look at that in individual, group, community, and the world at large. So when you talk about an individual who's been through trauma, yes, you're a great target. When you talk about a community that has been slammed with trauma, especially the Black and the brown community, when you look at what's going on in America now with the voting rights, this is all traumatic situation, so that if you're not handling that as a community, right, as a community, you're going to attract that. And when you talk about nation as a whole that have been led by men, yes, and women, but mostly men that are that have that, not just traits, but they do have the personality disorder, because there's a difference, right?
Yes.
When you have that, then the whole country, saying for my country like Nigeria, bam, 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 pow, pow. So that you can have a whole nation. Right?
Yes,
You can have a whole, and what we're going on in America here too. You can have a whole country under a narcissistic personality. Wow. That the whole country is just enigma by them, and they are hijacked. That's the right word. Hijacked by this personality.
Wow. Dr. Fumi, you said something about there's a difference between personality, traits, and disorder. Do you mind just expanding on that a little bit, please?
Well, so it's just like you say, okay, there is good anxiety and there's bad anxiety, right?
Yes.
So the good anxiety, it helps you, pushes you to be the best of you, right? The bad anxiety kind of cripples you. So there are some traits that a lot of our leaders, frankly, I'm yet to see a leader that doesn't have that kind of personality, really, because that's what pushes them. When you go into a corporate world where you have a woman that is just, heads on with men, way up there, if you look at it, they probably have a little bit of traits in there. The trait that helps them to push, the traits that help them to look at their prey and say, hey, where is the weakness and how can I hit so that I can get to the other end? So there are some traits that you can actually use in a very productive way, but a disorder is a mental illness.
Right.
Okay. Right. So what makes it the mental illness then? I just want to be quite specific. So what happens? What's the difference? How does that come about?
Okay, so when you talk about mental illness, we're talking about people that they have an imbalance. There's an imbalance, chemical imbalance going on there, right? And not just there, but also you're talking about behavior too. You have people that are always in denial. The sky is blue. No, it's not. And the whole world says that the sky is blue, and they're telling you, they're gaslighting you. That's the good word. Gaslighting you that the world is just round when everybody sees what's going on. Right? Then there are people that trivialize things. It's like, they don't take things, oh no, you didn't really see that.
This is the reason why we are doing this, because we find that people don't really understand what this is all about, because really and truly, when this type of abuse is going on, it's very difficult to pinpoint what exactly is going on, what is happening. You don't really... Maybe you may not have gone through it before, and then you find that you enter a romantic relationship and everything is so completely different. you know, and you
You
just
wouldn't know what it is. You would almost think that it's normal.
yeah, it's
you know?
normal, or the person is just evil.
That's right.
That's just one thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you look at, I wanted to use my own example
Yes,
that,
please.
number one, I was younger. I was 22. I was so much in love, right? So you have somebody who is buying you your panties, who is going to, all this place and buying those intimate things, and you're thinking to yourself, boy, they are such in love. But it is control. It is control.
It is control,
you just didn't know. So a lot of our women, a lot of our ladies there, and even men alike, they need to hear people like us discuss this, because we start to, what do? We start to idealize things like, wow, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me is buying my panties. Mine used to buy my panties. He would literally get the catalog and buy the panties and the bra. And I'll be sitting there saying, wow, such love.
Exactly.
That's where the grooming began, and I just didn't know it.
And tell us a little bit more about your story, please. I know your story is powerful, but give us maybe segments of that happened, how did you manage to come out of it?
Well, like I said earlier, I was very, very young, came from Nigeria, wanted to just stay here for 1 year. Well, I should have known. He comes, we had an agreement back home. I will be back in 12 months. But what happened? Brother was here without even telling me, didn't even know where I was living, if I was living with an aunt, didn't even know if I had a place to put my head. But here he was at the airport, not knowing that my parents had already paid for his ticket and everything to come. And here he was here. So now you have, let's think about it. I have an idea. Because we're going to move swiftly into the stages of what our target audience used to say. The first thing is you idealize the person. So for him, it was God's gift to mankind. I mean, needless me, a little old me, no. He was just God. I mean, he was the bomb. He was the sugar in my cup. He was the coffee in my tea. He was my telephone without wire. There was nothing anybody could say about this brother. You hear me?
Yes.
Now, he was abusive. When I say abusive, with the mouth, not even, not physical.
Not physical.
And that's why we want our relations. I want our women to know this, because a lot of times people say, well, after all, he didn't touch me.
Yes.
He's going to touch you emotionally.
Exactly.
Very, very detrimental, right? So for me, let me use myself as a case study. Idealized him for a while. After a while, when he figured, okay, he's got his feet on my neck, I couldn't go anywhere else anymore. Now I don't have 2 babies now, 2 and 4, right? Wow. He stripped me of my own business. He stripped me of everything. Wow. Now I'm left with these 2. Then what did he do? Started to devalue me. I would hear him literally talk on the phone, tell his parent, tell his mother, I'm good for nothing. I'm worth nothing. Even though I was working 2 jobs to send him to college, ladies and gentlemen. 2 jobs to send this brother to college, and he would literally said I was worthless. In front of me, he was dating other people, right? Discarding me. That's the third phase. Discarding. He started to discard me like I was worth nothing anymore to him. I was useless. Frankly, I was over 28 now, so I wasn't worth anything, right? So he was discarding who I was. He didn't want to. Anytime that I felt like I needed to tell him what was wrong, he was just like, who's talking? I don't hear that person talking. Who is that person talking? Ladies and gentlemen, if you are going through this kind of phases, or what we call the stages of narcissism, right? Idealization, which is you. So you are a participant. That tells you you're a participant. Narcissistic people just don't latch onto you. Let's just fess up. We women were participants, all right? Yes. So when we start to idealize them, we try to put them on a pedestal that all you're doing is just feeding that thing. You're feeding it.
Dr. Fumi, this is incredible. I want to take this opportunity and invite you, if you are watching this, man or woman. And some of the things that we are talking about, some of the characteristics that Dr. Fumi is mentioning, if that is, alarming you, if these are flags, if these are traits that you are seeing in your partner, then please get in touch with us. UYG Social Enterprise is here to support you. We're here for you, to guide you, help you walk through the journey and process of coming out of such a toxic relationship. We have amazing counselors, therapists, psychologists like Dr. Hancock. We have, coaches as well that can hold your hand and support you through your self-discovery and self-reflection journey.
So another question that I would really love to ask Dr. Fumi, what are the tips that you can give to everyone or anyone that may be going through this?
Yeah.
What are the tips that, people can cope and recover from narcissistic abuse even when the relationship is over?
Well, when you look at the tips, you're talking about recovery from trauma.
Yes, recovery. Exactly.
Frankly, it is traumatic to even be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Regardless of what the relationship is, may it be a relationship at a workplace, it is trauma. So when you look at it from that perspective, then it helps you to really hone in on it. Because if you just look at narcissism, you don't even understand that number one, you're abused. You don't even understand that it is traumatic, and you don't even know if you need recovery. So those are the three main things that I always look at when we're talking about, how do you get out of this? Knowing that it's abusive, knowing that it's traumatic, and knowing that you need recovery. So when you look at that, when you look at those three things, then what are the things that you have to do? They, in psychology, they have these 5 phases of it. One is the emergency stabilization phase, where it's like, woo, wait. Emergency, ER, you've been through a lot. It just, case in point myself, I'd already lost my mind. And when I said lost my mind, I'm not figuratively, I'm talking about literally lost my mind for 6 months, was gone. And when I came through, my children were in somebody else's hands. People were taking care of me. So, of course, emergency. Many of our women out there don't even know they're in emergency mode. They're trying to kind of make things happen. So you have to first recognize the phases you're in. Unless you know the phase you're in, you will know how to apply to it. So ER, stabilization, you need stabilization, and it could be away from that person. It could be away from that job. It could be away from that country. You hear me? Regardless of how you're looking at it, stabilization. Then you have to punch your way up, right? And what I mean by that is you're literally going to have to fight your way up. Because, a narcissistic person is not going to let you win. Let's just put it that way, point blank. And the problem that's going on with a lot of us in whatever that relationship is like we're trying to make a point. They're not going to get it. They will never get it. So, which means that you have to really kind of like, Muhammad Ali, punch your way upwards in that. And then once you start punching your way, you got to do 1 foot at a time, which means you're not trying to leave the relationship, trying to quit a job, you're not trying to do 2 or 3 things at the same time, because this is going to require all your energy, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to require everything that you have, every breath that you have to get out of this. So knowing the phase is very, very crucial. The 4th phase is kind of like, now I've pushed myself out. I'm taking 1 foot at a time. I am in a safe place. Now let's do some objective analysis of what just happened. Let's do some objective analysis of what just happened. Because, look, if you do not do an objective, I didn't say subjective. Subjective is when you're crying, what is me? How did I do? No. Objective. Say, okay, what role did I have? For me, I had to literally do it and say, okay, sister, the lines were there. The alarms were there. Somehow, you ignored the alarms. So
the red
let's talk
flags.
about the alarms. Let's look at those alarms so that when they come back again in somebody else, I can see them. So there needs to be objective analysis. And of course, the last phase is acceptance and then reintegrating yourself into that new atmosphere that you find yourself. And that's a very tough one.
Wow.
Yes,
Dr. Fumi, I would like to ask this. I mean, oh my gosh, we're almost running out of time for this episode, but I would like to ask this. Now, we've spoken a lot about the woman, but I wonder, are those characteristics and everything we discussed the same for a narcissistic woman? Is a narcissistic woman pretty much the same?
Yeah, narcissism is narcissism. It doesn't change. All right. You have the woman who is more assertive. You know, well, I say aggressive, not assertive, because assertion is good. But more aggressive. They're more aggressive. They are the ones that want to fight their way into becoming the president of a big corporation and will do whatever, step on anybody, do whatever they got to do. So there's nothing different in the signs and symptoms. The only thing that is different is they're female, she, he. That's it. That's it. But they do carry the same signs and symptoms.
Okay. Wow. Thank you so much, Dr. Fumi. Honestly, I think we might have to bring you back because we still had so much to cover, but unfortunately we've run out of time for today. But before we go, could you please tell us, I know you're a best-selling author, could you tell us about your books, and also just finish up with how the audience can contact you?
Well, they can always Google me. That's always the easiest one.
That's the easiest one.
Google Dr. Fumi Hancock, Hancock, and I'm there. Of course, a lot of my books can be found on Amazon, and I'm actually working on one for narcissism right now. So my books can be found on Amazon.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much. And of course,
thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for being with us. And again, we want to finish off with saying, if at all you are experiencing narcissistic abuse, please do get in touch with us. UYG Social Enterprise is here to support you, is here to help you. The stages and everything, no matter where you are, even if you're unsure, but you want to be sure, please do get in touch with us. Egbono is our lead counselor at UYG Social Enterprise, and this is the work that we do, and we're here for you. So we have come to the end of episode 1. Please do ensure that you subscribe.
Thank you for listening to Tear the Veil with Dr. Fumi. We hope you have enjoyed being a part of today's show and that we have helped you in shining. For further information, you can visit us at drfumiPsychdNP.com and pobpsychiatry.com.